All right, so how do I launch my food product online? This is actually gonna be part 2 of our 15 video series where I'm gonna break down step by step how you can actually launch your own food product without having a huge company behind you and a lot of expenses to do it with. I'm gonna show you step by step on how we do this and how I've done it over the past 13 years. And in this video, part 2, we're gonna talk about product research. So we're gonna take a look at some ways online that you can find out specifically how to price, how to package, and even how to ship and everything else behind product research for your food product. I'm gonna get to that right now. All right, welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. I'm here with a second part to our 15 video series. Yes, 15 steps. I'm gonna break them down into easily digestible videos here to make it simple to understand. So this one particular video is part 2. It's gonna be discussing product research. So when you launch a food product, no matter if you're doing it by yourself or if you have a huge team of people to help you to do it, these videos are gonna make it super simple for you to understand how to do this basically by yourself when you're first starting. Because many of you watching don't have $1 million in the bank to launch a food product or hire a big company to help you out and do it. So this is what I have learned over the past 13 years, all of the success that we have had, my wife and myself. I have not had any help except for just myself and my wife. So I've had to kind of learn along the way on how this works, and we are doing quite well now. Of course, it takes a lot of time and effort to get to where we are. So I'm gonna show you some of the things I've learned and some of the ways that you can actually understand some of the simple things to launch a food product and specifically to do it online. Stay with us. We're gonna have every single video lined up, and then eventually, like I mentioned in the first video, we're gonna put together a playlist. So if you missed anything, you can simply hit play and sit back and watch all of them back to back to help you understand. Now, obviously there is a million types of food products out there, and I can't make a video about every single food product. So I'm gonna use an example. The example is gonna be hot sauce. Just one that I just randomly picked, but I'm gonna use it specifically because it's a really great type of a product to get an understanding, the basic understandings behind pricing, packaging, how things are bundled, how it's being sold, flavor profiles, and so on. So in essence, you can actually take this example and really transform it into any type of thing that you want to sell, any type of food product. If you're looking to sell flavored nuts or seasoned nuts, for instance, there's a variety of different flavored nuts. They're in different packages, different sizes, they're bundled, they're different price points. So the principles, the basics of what I'm going to cover in this video can be pretty much applied to almost any type of food product you're going to be dealing with. So product research, let's get started. Number 1, you want to take a look at the best-selling hot sauces, but again, this is the example, the best-selling hot sauces out there on Amazon, Walmart, and eBay. Why do I choose those 3? These 3 specific platforms combined have hundreds of millions of customers go to them every single month. If you're looking to what sells really good online, aside from having your own website and selling a product online through your own website, you want to take a look at these existing platforms because they have a lot of really great information and free data, if you will, on what's selling and how is it packaged and everything else. So number 1, price point. Take a look at some of these best sellers on Amazon, and then what I'll do is I'll go through each platform, eBay and Walmart as well. Some of the best selling ones on Amazon. Simply first off, see the price points of some of these. Now, a lot of these are mass-produced products that are, for instance, Frank's Red Sauce, Frank's Hot Rub Barbecue, and so on. You're gonna see a lot of them, Sriracha Hot Chili Sauce. These are obviously not micro batch, small batch products similar to what you're gonna be selling. So some of the prices on here may be a lot lower because they have the capacity to produce millions of units, and you're gonna probably be making several hundred or a few hundred at a time. So what we really wanna focus on are the non-name brand, like the name brand stuff, the big stuff. Things like Truff is actually a very large, Truff Original is a very large company now, it is. And Steve-O's, of course, everyone knows who this guy is. I'm not gonna get too deep into who he is, but Steve-O's a celebrity. So he probably gets this produced at a reasonably low cost because he tapped his celebrity and basically leveraged that and was able to create the sauce, which is well known, probably just because of his name alone. But here's what I wanna show you. So we have the Ghost Pepper Chili Sauce, and then the Gringo Bandito. Let's use them as an example. Now, we wanted to look at the price points, right? So this is specifically for a 4-pack. I'm gonna tell you a little bit something about pricing any food item online. When you start doing product research to find out more about pricing, understand this. Unless you're able to mass produce a product at literally pennies on the dollar, I highly recommend you do not sell a product for anywhere from $9 to $10 or less. Why? Because when you tap into eBay, Amazon, Walmart, number one, there are fees that they're going to charge you for that transaction. And if you create a product, let's say it costs you $1 and you sell it for 10, you're gonna have fees from Amazon right off the top. And I can tell you roughly, you're probably gonna get a fee. This isn't even FBA, by the way. This isn't even fulfillment by Amazon, and I'll get into that in a minute. Those fees are even higher. You're gonna get right off the top, probably about $2, maybe $2.75 off of that as well. Then you're gonna have to ship it. So there's two ways to do that. You can either charge a customer to ship your product at $10, and you're probably not gonna get someone to pay $8 to buy it and to ship it, or you're gonna offer free shipping. But if you do, and you're selling it for 10, and you've already lost $1 in your production cost to make it, about $2.75 for fees on Amazon, then you're gonna pick up the shipping charge. You're gonna make probably about 75 cents if you're lucky, okay? It's very important to understand this because making a product and selling it to retailers in bulk by case pack or even pallets, and then they make a margin and they mark it up, it's totally different. When you're selling it online, be aware of the single price point. If you're selling a single bottle of your product or a single product itself, you need to make sure that your price point is between at least a minimum of $15 to $25 and even up to $30. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Reason being is that if you're gonna produce this and you're gonna make a transaction, you need to make sure that after all of the fees and shipping, that you're not actually breaking even or even losing money because you won't be in business very long. Now, this particular item is a 4-pack. And this at cost, if a Copacker is producing it, I could probably tell you that they're getting this for around $2 a bottle, maybe even less. I'm not sure specifically about this brand in particular, but knowing what I know about private labeling hot sauces, you're probably gonna get this for around $2 to $3 a bottle, or maybe even a little bit more. Now, is it sold by them and fulfilled by them? That's the next question. When you're doing product research and you wanna see exactly how this is sold, you wanna see who's actually selling it. Let me take a look. Ships from and sold by Amazon. Okay, so this is actually an Amazon product. It's shipped from and sold by Amazon. So if that's the case, then Amazon's having this produced, and I can bet you they're probably producing so much of it that it's even less than that per bottle. But when you sell 4-packs, let me show you the price point. You see, originally it was around almost $17, okay? For Amazon to fulfill it, obviously their shipping rates are considerably lower because they're shipping so much product, okay? So this for them, shipping 4 bottles, I would bet you with their discount, with them shipping it to you, probably $2 at the most, maybe even $2.75 to $3 to ship it. That's the type of discount they get depending on the service provider. So number one, you wanna look at the price, okay? That's gonna be a big bearing because here's how you're gonna make your sauce. Most likely you're gonna start in the commercial kitchen. You're gonna be bottling it yourself. So you wanna know how much is it costing you for your bottle, your label, and the labor. And when you first start, I could guess that you're probably doing this all by yourself and not necessarily with a lot of employees. So it's taking up a lot of your time. Factor that in as well. And when you rent a commercial kitchen, factoring in your price point for renting the commercial kitchen and how that affects the production and cost of the bottles. If you go to a commercial kitchen and you can produce 1,000 or 2,000 bottles and it costs you maybe $200, you need to factor in that $200 because that's how much it's costing you to produce 2,000 bottles. Keep that in mind. Next up, like I mentioned before, if you want to bundle it or individually package it, as we talked about, make sure that you work on bundling. If you wanted to sell a product, now let's go over to eBay. Here's a great example. If you want to sell a product like this, those single individual bottles are very difficult to make money on. When you want to look at a product like this, for instance, this is a great example of bundling because the price point for the transaction itself is $32, okay? And I think I saw it at about 42. A couple of people were selling this. Yeah, so even some of the bottles here, let me show you this. 4 bottles of this hot sauce, $49 plus free shipping. Now, prime example, perfect example of why this probably is charging the customers for their shipping. 4 bottles of this is costing maybe a couple dollars a bottle. You're looking at $8 in cost for a 4-pack. Ship these bottles, you could probably cost about $7 to $8, so you're $16. But then eBay takes a transaction fee, and remember that somebody has to process the payment. So that could be Stripe or even PayPal. That's gonna have a big bearing too when you launch your food product online on a platform, is just that very question. How much are they charging for the transaction? That's another fee. So you want to keep in mind when you begin to bundle your products, be around that. For us, our average price point for our products is $35. So the average customer over the past 13 years has actually paid us $35 for a transaction. We know that, and we try to create products that are in that price point, okay? Whether it's bundled or maybe whether it's one big bottle of hot sauce. I don't know, it's 2 gallons and you want to charge 30 bucks, so be it. But the whole concept is that the transaction needs to make sure that it's profitable after everybody gets their cut. So either bundled or individual, keep in mind the price point. That has a big bearing on it. Also, the great thing about bundling, more specifically, when you have a variety of flavor profiles, you're giving the customer a variety of things to try and to sample. It's not the same flavor, not the same bottle 4 times, it's individual units. So let's say you're starting a nut business and you have 5 different types of nuts and they have different seasoning. That's great, that's even better than just individual bags because you're giving them a variety of products. So when you start to research, again, product research to find out if you've got a great product idea, how can I bundle it? How can I package it? How can I price point it? See what it's selling online and try to mimic that with the product that you're making. Not necessarily mimicking the same flavors, that's not what I mean, but the packaging, okay? But allow your customers to have a variety of flavors because they'll come back for even more, okay? Now, the next thing up you want to consider is co-packers. The way that you can reduce a product price point and production cost is by getting a co-packer. But keep in mind though, in some instances, some products, and let me show you, here's another great example by the way. Here's a 4-pack on Walmart for about $26. Actually, normally it's $30. Again, that's what I was saying, that $30 to $35 price point. In order to reduce the cost of this, unless you're doing this all by yourself, is a co-packer. Why and how can I launch a product online when I don't have proof of concept yet? Remember, step 1 was the idea. Make sure you test it locally, get some feedback. If it's positive and looks great and you want to launch it online, then the next step is create your product, packaging, your label, which we'll get to in another episode. But once you have the complete product set up, then go to a co-packer and get pricing for a certain amount of product. See what their most minimum amount is for you to invest in this endeavor, whatever it may be. If you're doing salsas, if you're doing ketchups, if you're doing hot sauces, if you're doing nuts even, or if you're doing sprinkles, whatever it may be, find out from them what the minimum is. Why do I want to find out the minimum? Because once you get your proof of concept locally, as I mentioned in the first video, you want to do it online, you can launch it through a website like Walmart or Amazon, but you don't want to pile up your product. You would really honestly rather sell out and have a short delay in fulfilling and refilling those orders, because if you overdid it and you bought tens of thousands of units and your product is a flop and it doesn't sell, you're stuck. So if you can find a co-packer to produce, again, as our example, hot sauces, and you can get maybe 800 bottles or 500 bottles instead of 10,000 bottles, then do that. Whatever your product is, finding a co-packer will reduce your overall costs. Yes, there are fees involved with co-packing, and you want to make sure that you don't overdo it with your per unit pricing. Some co-packers will charge you for the amount of time. Some co-packers will charge you for the individual unit. So if your bottle costs them 50 cents to make, you're going to have an additional 50 cents expense on producing that individual unit. So, but it's a great way to launch a product because that way you can get a lot of it done in a shorter period of time while you focus on building the business online, creating the listings, creating the social media, and so on. So tap into co-packers when you have some proof of concept, and that is a great way that you could put a product out for a lot less. Now, when you create your food product, also take a look at one other thing you want to take a look at is more specifically the flavor profiles. Now, we're using this hot sauce as a great example. And let me click on this one, number 16 bestseller here on Amazon. This is a great example of what I'm about to tell you. Flavor profiles. Again, no matter what you're making, there's probably a variation of it, right? And there's probably a variation of different flavors that you can create. Why is that so important, Damien? Because once you create one flavor of a product, if you've got 6 potentially other flavors in the background that you can make, 6 or even a dozen or even 10, that's going to allow you to create a multitude of bundles because you can pair up different flavor profiles of that product. This one here in particular has, is it 7? There it is, yes. 7 different flavors, okay? And it has a great little packaging to go along with it, which is fantastic. That looks like, yeah, there we go. And it has a variety of different flavor profiles. and then you have a beautiful branding. The labeling is fantastic. This can take these different 7 flavors and you can create literally endless amounts of bundles. Maybe someone may like a certain flavor, like for instance, the Montreal and the Black Cajun. You can take 2 of those flavors and create a multitude of 6-pack, maybe 3 of one flavor and 3 of another. So you've got 6. The idea of launching a food product online individually as just one flavor, yes, you could do that. But potentially down the road, your customers are gonna love your product and say, hey, do you offer some variety? Do you offer something different? So keep in mind what's known in the industry as a flavor profile. You have a variety of those flavor profiles set up. Doesn't mean you have to necessarily launch all of them at once. If this seems a little bit overwhelming at first and it's a challenge, that's fine because it may be new to you. But keep in mind down the road that you come up with consistent flavors or constantly something new, or even different package sizes. One size of a hot sauce sounds great if you've got it in 3 ounces or 4 ounces, but guess what? Maybe you can do a 12-ounce bottle. Maybe there's someone who could use it on a much larger scale. Maybe they love it so much they're tired of buying your small bottles. You can enlarge the bottle. So flavor profiles is another way to do some product research to understand how to apply that to your product in particular. If you're making cookies even, there's literally an infinite amount of cookies. If you can create a chocolate chip cookie, there's a good likelihood you can create 20 other different varieties of cookies. We actually have about 48 to 50 different cookies right now that we actually sell online because I know how to make a cookie. It's not rocket science. And if you can create different flavors, you attract more customers. Then you can bundle them and then raise the price, again, as we talked about before, that individual unit's more expensive, okay? So flavor profiles is it. So we're gonna wrap this up. That is a great way to check product research when it comes to launching online because the price points, keep in mind, are much different and their pricing has to account for all of the other additional fees and shipping. So keep that in mind as well. If you've got questions on how do I launch my own food product, definitely let us know down in the comments. If this video was helpful, as always, please share it with somebody. Give us a thumbs up. Stay tuned again. We have the 3rd step and 3rd part coming up. That should be here either tomorrow or the next day. And then we'll put these all together, as I mentioned, in a playlist. Check out the links down below. We also have some great resources on our blog and our podcast. All those links are down in the description. So if you have any questions, let us know, and I'll see you guys on our next